Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel, be the reason someone smiles. Simba, gedola, liot, liot, besimcha. Simba, gedola, liot, liot, besimcha. Simba, gedola, liot, liot, besimcha. Simba, gedola, liot, besimcha. Simba, gedola, liot, 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 besimcha. Be the reason someone smiles. 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 Simba gedola, liot besimcha. Simba gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simba gedola, liot liot besimcha. Simba gedola, liot besimcha. Someone smile. Be the reason someone smile. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8.
Breakfast with Elli.
Modeh
in our darkest, most painful hour, it is actually the perfect time to awaken spiritually, whether we call it bottoming out or being overwhelmed with trauma. When the outward world as we know it falls apart, we are actually perfectly positioned to start to ask, what God, what Hashem, what do you ask of me now? Who can I grow to be? How can I love more deeply? What really is the nature of reality? These important portholes to a deeper walk in life are more accessible when we're in times of despair. So depression is not lost time. Despair is not a pothole in our lives. It is the ignition. It is really the trailhead of the spiritual path.
That's pretty cool, right? Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Ellie. It is Wednesday, the 3rd day of January, the 22nd day of Tevet, the year 5784. The Torah portion is Shemot, HaYom Revi'i, the 4th day, counting up towards Shabbos, and we'll be learning the 4th Aliyah. Good morning, how are you? Oh, I'm fine, thank you so much for asking. We have a lot of Torah to learn today, a lot of information to give over to you. So let's begin. Men and boys, please take your 2 front tzitzis and make a bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
All right. Al divrei Torah. Everyone together now.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
Hareini Mekabel.
Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
Torah Tziva.
Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov.
All right. Time to give some tzedakah.
I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
There you are. And that, of course, takes us to the saying of the Shema. Are you ready? Here we go. All right, and that takes us to breakfast. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. All right, are you ready? Coffee and yogurt. Are you ready to make a bracha shahakol? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol niya b'dvoroi.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or 2 in the evening too. For me, it's the only way. Yeah.
All right. Got a little distracted over there. Today in Jewish history. Forgive me. All right. Today in Jewish history. Loving it. Today is the Purim of the Curtains. after a respected Jew was falsely accused of stealing the royal curtains from the governor's palace. The entire Jewish community of Prague was in mortal danger in 1623. After a
River Red Heart. +880-1303-906704.
All right, hold on 1 second. Be right back.
Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone smiles.
What's that do, Pete?
Be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason
or what?
someone
Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles. Give us my chol, give us my chol, give us my chol, give a smile. Give us my chol, give us my chol, be the reason someone smiles.
Sorry. I am so sorry about that. We had a little interruption there. All right. After a miraculous intervention, the real culprit confessed to the crime, sparing the Jews of the city. To commemorate this event, Purim of the Curtains was instituted in Prague to thank Hashem for the miracle of salvation. The Inquisition was established in Peru in 1570. And anti-Jewish riots erupted in Ancona, Italy, a day after the local Purim, which had been celebrated there since 1691. Roman mobs attempted to set fire to the Jewish ghetto and sack it, but rains put out the fire. The day was then designated a holiday by Roman Jews. How about that? And in 1961, 43 Mapilim, would-be immigrants, were drowned secretly trying to help Jews escape from Morocco to go up to Eretz Yisrael on the Egos, the ship Egos. In 1993, the bodies of the victims of the Egos were retrieved and finally brought to Israel for burial. So they got to be there, but not the way they wanted to, and that's kind of sad. All right, HaYom Yom for today, the 22nd day.
Kids will drive you crazy. Little kids, little problems. Big kids, big problems. Regardless of their age, they are always capable of keeping you at wit's end. And in our exasperation, we ask ourselves, when will the day come that parenting will be the easy, smooth sailing type of experience that, wouldn't it be wonderful? Today's HaYom Yom presents a statement from the 5th Rebbe of Chabad. Rabbi Shalom Ber once said this at a Hasidic gathering, at a Farbrengen. Just as the Torah mandates and obligates every single man to put on tefillin every single day, regardless of his level of Torah knowledge, so too there is an absolute obligation, a daily obligation upon every single Jew to dedicate half an hour every single day to think about the education of your children. You've got to do everything within your capabilities and perhaps beyond your capabilities to see to it that your children progress along the path upon which you are guiding them. So much like running a highly successful enterprise, parenting was never meant to be a simple, passive experience. You've got to invest every single bit of your time and energy resources. You've got to, it requires forethought. It requires proper strategy. It requires proper execution of the strategy. And if you give those kids all that you've got, they will make you proud.
Very cool. Very, very cool. All right. The Mimer Niggin for Basilagani. Fantastic. Here we go. Basilagani with Rabbi Chaim Silvera, Part 8.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a lot to get through today, so I'm going to go a little bit quickly. Just bear with me. Today we begin Perek Vav of this Mimer, which is the second Mimer in this series of Basilagani. The Rebbe dedicated this Mimer to his mother, the Heilige Tzadikis Rebbetzin Sternasada. We begin with a prologue called Hayosheves Beganim, referring to the people who sit in the garden. The pasuk says that those people who sit in the gardens, meaning Hashem's holy places, the places of Kedusha, like the Beis HaMikdash, or like a shul, or a Beis Medrash, the Malachim, the angels, who are referred to as friends because they cannot war between themselves. There's no envy, there's no competition, there's no war, are there with the Eibishter, with Hashem, to listen to the prayers of us here on earth. My apologies, I lost my place. The previous Rebbe explains why the Mishkan, which would be in this case considered like the garden, one of the ganim. He explains that the Mishkan is made of shittim, of acacia wood, as we learned in the last Perek, because through that wood that has the name that's so closely related to the word shtus, which we've discussed for a lengthy period of time now, we can, through our davening and through the assistance of the material of the shittim wood, transform hoishech, darkness, into oir, light, and transform our own ruach hashtus of klipa into ruach hashtus from kedusha. And the malachim, who are friends of each other and of our friends, and Hashem himself, will come to listen to us daven and watch us daven and assist us in this transformative action. Now we move on to Perek Vav. Sorry, that was so quick. Perek Vav has a lot of Kabbalistic terminology, and so I'm going to do my best to simplify it and make it as straightforward as possible. So the previous Rebbe here discusses the portion of the Zohar in the beginning of the Zohar in Parshas Bereishis, where the Zohar explains the quality and the power of each of the 22 letters of the Aleph Beis. Some letters are derived from the side of Klippa, and some are from the side of Kedusha. The reason for this, of course, is so that we have Kedusha and Klippa. Since the Aleph Beis were the materials, so to speak, that Hashem used to create the world, he had to use some of them to create the side of Klippa, and some of them to create the side of Kedusha. So the Rebbe discusses here that the letters Kuf, Shin, and Reish together are part of the side of Klippa. Now the interesting thing that he mentions is that he discusses the medrash of the letters coming to Hashem to ask him to create the world through them. And the medrash explains that Hashem answered the letter Shin that he could not create the world through her, because Shin comes from the side of Klippa, and if you put Shin, Kuf, Resh together, it makes the word Sheker, which means a lie or a falsehood. And of course, Hashem would not want to create his world through the attribute, through the midah of falsehood. The Rebbe now goes on to discuss the letters Dalet and Reish, which are opposite each other, essentially, on the wheel of the letters of creation. Reish, as we said, comes from the side of Klippa, while Dalet comes from the side of Kedusha. Dalet is Reish's match, its counterpart on the side of Kedusha, holiness. Now, this is important to know because Dalet actually has on the back of it a little bit of a Yud. That shows that that letter is from Kedusha. Otherwise, the Dalet and the Reish they look the same. They have very similar form. In fact, if you were to erase Chas v'Sholem, part of a Dalet, you would get yourself a Reish. So the Rebbe explains that when you do that, when you use the word, for example, take the word Echad, meaning one, which refers to Hashem. If you were to Chas v'Sholem erase a little bit of the Dalet and turn that into a Reish, the word would be Acher. And vice versa. If you were to erase Acher and change it to Dalet, it has a huge effect. If you were to say Acher when you meant to say Echad, or to write Acher when you meant to write Echad, it will actually destroy worlds. Not only that, but we will feel the effect here in our presence, in our present existence. We won't know what it's from, only people like the Rebbe know that, but we understand that it has that power. This is why it's so important that the Dalet, which is written largely in the word Echad in our famous and well-known Shema, which we say every day, twice a day, is bigger because it's the most important letter. And it's the letter that needs to be, that is the essence of that holiness, the essence of Kedusha in the word Echad. Even when vocalizing, as we all know, the Dalet should be vocalized longer. So Shema should be very carefully said as follows. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. And saying that Dalet creates a brand new world of Kedusha. That's all for today. I got through everything I wanted to get through, so we will see you back here tomorrow for Perek Zayin.
Great. All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Rabbi Chaim. The effort that it takes to put that out every single day is greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for being there and helping us with this. Tomorrow, part 9, we are zipping through the mimer. Okay. And now we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidol.com.
PestProRidol.com. Trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidol.com.
Tarzane Group. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 305-440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzanegroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications, logos, wall hangings, Judaica, and you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Torah, 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 Siva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Siva lanu Moshe.
All right, patreon.com/theactorsrabbi or breakfastwitheli.live/new-computer. We so desperately need that new computer, so if you'd care to help us out, it would be a tremendous, tremendous thing. I'm sorry to keep asking, all right? Finishing off the overview to Parshas Shemot, we now understand why the book of Exodus opens with a list of Yaakov's sons. Even though such a list seems superfluous, we already know the name of Yaakov's sons. We saw them born. We saw them listed twice in the Torah, the second time in even greater detail than here. Furthermore, this list contributes nothing to the narrative flow of the biblical story. After we read how Joseph was interred in Egypt at the end of the book of Bereshit, the narrative should logically continue with how the Israelites were fertile and prolific, and a new king who didn't know Joseph arose over Egypt. Excuse me. So the sages give 3 reasons why Yaakov's sons are listed again. To stress that, first, the Jews did not change their Jewish names to Egyptian ones. That is, they refused to assimilate totally into Egyptian culture, and we have Rabbi Taub telling us about that a little bit later. 2, to inform us that Hashem considers the Jews as precious as the stars, whom he also counts by name when they go into exile at daybreak, and when they come out of exile at nightfall. And 3, to tell us that we are essentially good, because the Torah introduces righteous people with the formula Ushmei, and his name was, and wicked people with the formula such and such was his name. Here too, the phrase, these are the names, Eila Shmeis, precedes the list of proper names. Now, these reasons all highlight the unassailable core of Jewish essence, the seed of essence that was planted by Avram that lay dormant during the exile. Because of this inner mahus, this inner essence, the Jewish people are intrinsically motivated to fulfill their divine mission. Their awareness of this precious quality inspires them to cling to their identity and resist the temptation to assimilate. In this context, listing the sons' names individually also alludes to the fact that each and every one of us has a unique purpose in rectifying creation. So, we see the emphasis on names alludes to both the condition of exile, in other words, the assimilation has progressed to the point where we are Jewish in name only, and the means to overcome it, meaning that we possess a core essence of Jewish identity that cannot be defiled. Therefore, the first parsha of the book which describes the exile, the spiritual descent the Jewish people underwent, and the horrors of their enslavement, is also called Shmos, names, even though the list of names with which it opens emphasizes that our essence is beyond exile. Now, this dichotomy is part of the nature of names in general. On the one hand, names are arbitrary and reveal nothing about a person's essence. 2 entirely different people can have the same name, Mendy and Mendy, Elli and Elli. On the other hand, a person's name is connected to his essence and can awaken it. People focus totally when they're called by name, which is why people who want to influence or disarm us make it a point of addressing us by name. I've told you this before, and I'll tell you it again. Whenever I'm in a market, a store, a restaurant, or whatever it is, and someone is wearing a name tag, I always address them by name. And I've had instances where someone has said, "How do you know my name? Do I know you?" Forgetting completely that they're wearing a name tag. Now, people can be awakened from a swoon by calling their name. And according to Jewish mysticism, a person's name is the channel through which his existence and spiritual life force flow into his body. That's why when a person is, God forbid, not well, on the brink of not being with us anymore, we add a name. And we add a name like HaYom, something that signifies life. Names exhibit the duality because our true essence is normally hidden behind the many layers of social conventions and personality masks we've accumulated throughout our lives. Normally, the only time our true essence cuts through these facades is when they are of no relevance. When we're confronted with some challenge that either threatens our lives or strikes deep into the essence of our being. We see that today with the conflict going on in Eretz Yisrael. Jews that only identified with being Jewish in name are now coming out of the closet, so it were, identifying with their Judaism, stating that they are Jewish and that they are proud. If only they would carry that over to Torah and mitzvahs. Once exile succeeded in revealing the inner essence of the Jewish people, they could proceed on to the next phase, the giving of the Torah at Sinai. The exile was a prerequisite to receiving the Torah because the purpose of Torah is to teach us how to bring divine consciousness into the most mundane aspects of reality, even those that appear to be antithetical to divine consciousness. The Jewish people actualized their innate ability to do this, to overcome the forces opposing godliness in Galut, in exile. Once the people received the Torah, they could proceed to actualize its message into the world. And that was the essence of the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, the predecessor to the Holy Temple. The overall lesson of the book of Shemot, the book of names, is this: no matter how hard it may seem, never give up the struggle for divine consciousness. The opposing forces are mighty, but we have the power to overcome them. Self-sacrifice reveals the essence of our soul, and by revealing our soul and fulfilling this unique mission, we help usher in the Geulah, the redemption. And when it says we are the chosen people, I remind you once more, we are chosen to bring godliness into this world and to teach the world that we are only making a home for Hashem in this, the lower world. In the fourth Aliyah, Moshe was shepherding Yisro's flocks in the wilderness when he arrived at Har Hashem, the mountain of God. And there he saw the sneh, the burning bush, which was not being consumed by the fire. When he approached to investigate the phenomenon, Hashem called out to him and declared he had seen the Israelites' afflictions and has decided to deliver them from their Egyptian taskmasters. And now, Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtzon. All right, fantastic. And that takes us to Parsha Points with Rabbi Epstein.
Parsha Point Shmos for Tuesday. Moshe Rabbeinu is the inverse hero. Raised in luxury, he longs to be with the Parsha Point Shmos for Wednesday. Note the sequence. Only after Moshe goes to investigate the burning bush, which is not being consumed, does Hashem call to him. How many burning bushes do we walk past every day? How many signals does Hashem send to us that we may overlook? Be attentive, be alert, seize the signals, and follow their instructions. That's where you meet God.
All right. Shnayim Yomi for today.
Parsha Shmos, Revi'i. Elli opens up by telling us that while Moshe was grazing the sheep of Yisro's father-in-law, he's headed out into the wilderness and he comes to Har Chorev, which is ultimately Har Sinai. And he notices over there that there's a malach amidst this thorn bush that has fire going on, yet it's not consuming the thorn bush. Now Rashi points out the reason why this whole story takes place through a thorn bush is because Hashem was trying to show Imo Anochi B'tzara, that I am with Kal Yisrael during this difficult time. While they're suffering from these thorns, I am really with them. And Moshe Rabbeinu comes over. We know that ultimately Hashem calls him over, tells him to take off his shoes, and Hashem begins to introduce himself to Moshe Rabbeinu. And Hashem tells him that I am the God of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and I've seen what's going on in Mitzrayim, and now it's time for them to be redeemed, and you are going to be the one who's going to be redeeming Klal Yisrael. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, who am I to be taking Klal